Today, I'm honoured to welcome along an absolute icon from the UK music scene. Someone who's been in the industry for over 30 years with a huge back catalogue of standout tracks, having worked with big names from house music, R&B, pop and everything in between. Please welcome the delectable and absolutely amazing Angie Brown. So what I want to do is just kind of go back a little bit, not for too long, but let's just talk about how you got into the music industry maybe and some of your highlights. Then what you've been up to more recently and then what you got planned. Just sort of do it that way if that's all right.
Yeah. Anything.
That's cool. I know you're an open book. You like to share it, whatever you can.
Oh
It's all
yeah, I
good.
wear my heart on my sleeve. Definitely.
That's how we like it. It's all good. So, like I say, you've been in the music industry for quite a while. And I was
Yeah.
just thinking, yeah, those early tracks, phenomenal. They shaped the music industry in some ways. So, what got you into it all in the first place? What appealed to you, and how did you go about doing that?
Well, can I just tell your listeners that I am 59 years old. I'll be 60 next year, believe it or not.
Oh my,
I'm glad I don't look too much older than some of my peers. Um, but like a lot of people who've been doing it a long time, I more or less did it straight out of drama school. So it's more than 40 years that I've been singing professionally. Obviously, I'm known from the 90s, from 92 with I'm Gonna Get You. But I got into it when I was much, much younger. When
hmm
I was about 9 or 10, there was another little girl who was about 8 called Lena Zavaroni. And she was bad, girl. She was Scottish. She was on fire. And she was 8. And she
wow,
was singing this big jazz song. Mama, he's making eyes at me. Oh, mama, he wants to marry me. And I can't even hit it properly, really, because I
did a
tried
good
to warm
job.
up my voice before joining you all, because I was sounding a bit blokey earlier. But basically, sorry, to get back to the question, I started at school. I saw this girl on Opportunity Knocks, which was a weekly talent competition, and you just had to send in your results. And in the live studio, there was a clapometer, and this little girl, not only did she win, but she got to meet the Pope. She got to sing with Sinatra. She was just everything that I wanted to be. So from that moment, I thought, if she can do it, I can do it, because I know that how much I love singing, and I'm coming from a fairly, let's say, fairly musical uh, background, because my brother, he's a really good R&B DJ. My mum had a strong voice, and dad, he used to play the mouth organ quite
Oh
badly, but he
wow,
played it. He
still
played
musical though.
it. My mum would. It was a little bit country kitchen, rustic home style entertainment. But yeah, it was cute. And obviously at school, I went on to do Oliver. I know that I've always been a bit of a chubster. So to play a starving boy in a children's home was a bit of a funny one for me. But I did it at school, and you do the school productions, and you get into the school choir. And at school, I used to get in trouble quite a lot for singing in the class, because I'd be singing at the playground, and I had my little fans at school, and I used to sing the Lovers Rock stuff, which is for people who don't know what Lovers Rock is. It's literally British acclaimed music where it's reggae meets like jazz, and the tones are jazzy instead of more like holla 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 oh, no, 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 the morning. It's more like ooh, and this little half voice, little two step going on. Janet Kay with Silly Games. I've been wanting you. That's really beautiful tones. Anyway, so I started off singing a lot of reggae hits and some pop songs to girls at school. And I left school. I went to college for 2 years, because what I didn't learn at school, I picked up at college, and I left from there, and I got into a drama school. And I didn't really like drama school. It's because I decided I didn't really want to act. I definitely decided that singing was the way forward. And plus, it was really hard getting an equity card. If you know anything about that, being an actor, you need a professional union card. And to get the card is really hard because you've got to join a professional acting group or working production team. And it's really hard because it's a roundabout, it's a weird way of getting this card. So apparently you could do some old people's homes, some mental hospitals. You need to do about 10 professional jobs in a pub and club, whatever. And you can send off for the equity card that way instead of trying to get in with a reputable acting group playing at the Barbican or something. I thought, well, this is the way. They've only got 2 cards a year to give away to a new student straight out of drama school. I thought, I'm not that much of a genius. I'm not going to get in with an acting group. Let me join a band or, learn some Cockney songs. I don't know anything. I've got a lovely bunch of those, there we are, or whatever for the old people, when you like, Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer. Because I thought to myself, and then I used to sing all those songs like, how long has this been good? In the pub, I used to do that. I used to do anything. And I did in 10 professional jobs, sent that off to equity, got an equity card, and then didn't think about acting again. Because by trying to get the equity card sorted, I was singing and loving the audience more than a restrained theatre. Like I was loving, it's amazing, Angie, one more song, and you think, oh, what shall I sing for them now, and I don't know, you sing We Are Family or something that they all love, and people love their disco, they love soul music, and obviously this was before house, if you can get your head around that, because I'm talking about, I don't know, 93, 94. I was in a band called EK1 down in Thanet, where I was the lead singer. But, when you've played Broadstairs and Dymchurch and all these places down in Thanet or wherever, Ramsgate, Margate, after a while, you've got to come to London. And they were quite scared of London and where we could really take it. So I came back to London and I just tried to find session work, back in the day, when I came out of school singing to the girls at school, driving them bananas, my first session started to come through because you put your name out at a party, I'm a singer or whatever, and I'd not done much work, and the work that was coming through was all these little reggae songs, in an egg box studio. You remember back in the day, people used to put the egg boxes on the ceiling to cushion the sound. And I'll be singing songs like, dreading my dreams come true. In that really, that soft voice, that stuff that wasn't too big, and it wasn't American either. It was very, London mixed in with the West Indies based. And I cut my teeth in the studio doing that kind of music, and then I went on to join a rock band, and I did loads of rock. I mean, and Tina Turner had relaunched herself, and it was with Private Dancer, that fantastic album, and she's doing all of that stuff, and then her career came back into the forefront of everyone's mind. And I used to listen to Rolling on a River and when I was a little girl, that stuff, and I thought, this is amazing. And I had the voice to do that kind of music, because if you think about when I was a kid, and I like Mark Bolan, and he thought T-Rex were amazing, and he would have so I don't want to scare the cat, but it's like 20th century boy, I want to be your toy, and the Stones with the honky tonk woman, give me now honky tonk, please, whatever. Sorry, I didn't read that one properly, but you know what I mean. And it was that kind of madness. I thought, I can sing in this amazing chest voice that I've discovered, which is associated so much with the gospel singers and the style of house music that I do. So I forgot to say that when I was about 16, my mum and dad used to foster children. So my mum took us all to Butlins on holiday, Skegness. I was young, I wasn't even driving there, but I was in the car with my mum and maybe 3 or 4 people at the back there, 3 people at the back, Tamara, Roy and Mark, and they were my foster brothers and sisters, and they were younger than me, and my mum wanted to take them to Butlins and let them loose, you know. Anyway, so we get to Butlin, and halfway through the week there's a talent competition, because there's a brochure with what's in it, what you can do on campus. And I said, oh mum, look, there's a talent competition. And my mum said, let's go along, let's go to the audition. All right. Let's get in there, and it's a huge letterbox shaped theater with big old velvet red curtains, and it must seat about 1,000 people, and that went all right up on a rake. You thought, oh my God, it's, you know, so they can see you and hear you on this huge stage. Your personality has to fill the stage. And people were getting up and singing songs that were popular around that time, which I can't really, probably Barbra Streisand stuff or whatever. And my mum was sitting next to me. My mum said, why don't you try get up and sing? Because she knew I've been singing in the school, singing in the classroom. Shut up, Brown. Otherwise, one more peep out of you and I'd peep, get up, go on, out. Because I've been a nuisance, because I needed to be studying music. But you know, when you don't know and you're lost because you're a teenager, you know, I'm 13, 14 and I'm being a pain in the neck in this classroom. And I wouldn't have minded going to English or maths or all those science, and if I had my singing to look forward to. Anyway, to get back to Butlins, I get up and I thought, I don't even know any songs all the way through, not even Summertime, not even a standard that we should know, like We Are Family or you know, all the words to Valerie. Everybody just knows it. You've got to know at least 10 standards, and in there is Sex Machine. Get up, get on up, get on the scene, like a sex machine, get on up, get up. You know, you have to know some of the classics, because obviously during that time I've been booked for parties, weddings, you know, working with various bands, freelancing. And I told you I was in the pubs doing stuff as well with bands. So anyway, I get up on the stage at Butlins, and I think, I just thought I've got to do something that's a jam. So I thought, yeah, let's do Brown Girl in the Ring. And I was like, the pianist, I said, I'm sorry, I haven't got any music. I just sitting here with my mum and on this huge stage, and the guy's got you know, it's 10 in the morning, but he's got his dicky bow on and the frilled shirt. And right, okay, right, Angie. You know, sorry, I'm doing a bad northern accent. You know, whatever the accent is for Skegness. But anyway, so I get up and I'm like, Brown Girl in the Ring, cha-la-la. And I get the whole place singing, all the other people auditioning. And he said, right, you've got a place for the show tonight. So fast forward, I go to the show, I sing Brown Girl in the Ring, and everyone's clapping really badly on the one. Like that, you know, not on the two. In the again. Anyway, I won, along with, there was a double winner. We go through to the next competition, and I didn't get through in the next bit, but you know, the winner would have won $5,000. Do you know what $5,000 was like in Lincoln late? Well, it had to be late. So, well, drama school was 81 to 81, 82. Yeah. You know, my mum started taking me to talent competitions, because in pubs and where you can win 150 quid, whatever, and you sing Natural Woman or sing a classic, because I had to kind of learn my craft and hone in on how to work with an audience and little things like that. So my mom and Butlins gave me my first break. And then my mom also recommended that I have singing lessons. And I thought, how does she know this? You know, if you want your voice to last and to you know, take care of it. You need to sing. And she was right, because I was pushing from the wrong place.
Right.
I know today when we were speaking on the messages, I was like, oh, I've got to warm my voice up a bit.
Yep.
Because it's bad to just sing, and because the voice is a muscle. I guess if you were an athlete, you would run on the spot and stretch that muscle before the race.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly like that for singing. And what happened after Butlins, in between Butlins and going for the quarter final, or whatever final it was, the semi-final, that's what it was. I met this amazing woman called Nettie Batam, and she became my singing teacher.
Right.
So I'm also classically trained now, where I'm reading from here and doing all these notes, what I call a Julie Andrews notes. I know that I'm not in the best voice this week, and I'm not going to make too many excuses for my voice at the moment, because since lockdown was over, I'm going to call it lockdown and not COVID. You know, the lockdowns have been over. All the work that backed up over 2 years, they're all there. And the poor promoters are fighting for, you know, who would normally have their festival on a Saturday. They've had to go for a Sunday afternoon, and another Saturday night, or gone for a Friday night. And anyway, basically, I just there's a backlog of work, and obviously some things I took the deposits for. So you're going to do the decent thing now that everything's fairly normalized again. Of course, I'm going to honor those gigs. You know, I still got half the amount of money still to get. So,
True.
so I'm a bit tired from overworking this year. But anyway, so when I met Nettie, so I'm not going to lose the trail where I was. Once I met Nettie, she showed me all this, what I call Julie Andrews singing, because it's very clear and clean, and it's, I'll show you, like, that clarity that reverberates. That is something that I learned from her.
Wow.
And when you mix that with chest voice for singing I'm Gonna Get You, or the rock stuff, it really works. And it's literally effortless. And obviously you get tired, but there's never any pain, there's never any polyps, nodes, you know, I never cough up any blood. I never have, if I get a chest infection, it's not for too long. Obviously, you learn to deal with it and sing around it if you are a bit phlegmy, sorry to say that, but if you are a bit jellified, so to speak. And, you know, there's ways around it. But as long as my voice, and I've even had floppy disks where the chords are really tired, and it's like, stop singing for, 2 weeks and get them back. Because as I said before, that it's a muscle. And once they're back, as long as I don't get ill and I take care of my voice, because what she showed me was how to get that American tone. And I would have been, if I hadn't been shown, it would be up the top. It would be through the throat. It would be caught around the shoulders. But how she's taught you, it's all gravity. So you pull it down like the opera singers. You literally, sorry to say it, but, sing from your fanny. Sorry to say that. You sing from downstairs, your nether regions, because if you check it, that's where your legs, bums and tums, the top of your legs and your backside, so to speak, the biggest muscle in the body. And if that's supported, a bit like bearing down, if you want to poo or have a baby, it's you get in touch with your those pelvic floor and the sphincter muscles,
right? And
because of that, the visualization of that whole, this is clear, hitting, your abdomen and your diaphragm, and it's got all this clarity to come out again, because there's none of this, you have to, instead of thinking up, you think down. The note is low, whether it's a high note or a low note. And basically what Nettie showed me is invaluable, because when house came along, I could do it, and I could do all that wow, waste your time. You know you're gonna be mine. I'm gonna get you, baby. I'm gonna get to your side. Yes, I am. You know, it's got to be. You know, when you do it. Sorry, I thought the cat would have jumped then, but he didn't.
Scared him.
He's used to it, isn't he? But if you can do that and still, and people and people are not feeling uncomfortable, and you make it look enjoyable and easy, you know, I just got so much work out of singing like that. You know, the house thing came about, and marvelous doors opened with Bazaar Inc. But I'm going to let you get in there with another question. It's a long answer. Basically, I started at school and went from strength to strength. But I am grateful to Nettie Batam for what she's taught me. She's taught me that, you know, that American gospel, easy, Southern, laid back way of delivering. And not a lot of British girls had it. And that's why, you know, doing I'm Gonna Get You, I was supposed to sound like Jocelyn Brown.
Right.
Because it was originally a Jocelyn Brown track. Yeah. So to emulate Jocelyn, again, from the acting and thinking, oh, you know, her voice and her boots. I did it, and I did it justice. Anyway,
you really did.
Next question. Sorry. Oh,
no.
Go on.
It's a long journey, and you know, it's interesting stuff. And I'd love to hear your backstory, because obviously Nettie, we're all forever indebted to her for bringing you that talent. And you know, it's the
amazing thing. One more point. Sorry, I was 15. She was 30 something, and now I'm 59. She's late 80 something. I don't know, 88, 89. And we still meet up and we have a vodka, because back in the day I wouldn't have been able to have a vodka, and we do our many men, and you're and you know, you're trotting, you're panting, all these things that relax the back of the throat, and it's amazing. And smiling it through, instead of saying when you smile it through, you're using all these muscles, and it just becomes effortless and exciting, because the sound that you make is just reverberates. And anyway, next question. It totally does.
Next question. Yeah, I mean, what a great answer, and I'm going to process that again probably a few times just to get it through my head. But so out of all those years of being in the circuit, what would you say would be your highlight? You know, what would be your moment of glory, or you know, the real moment you always come back to?
Well, in my life, there's there's three things that really have blown me away. Of course, having children in my 40s, because I was such a career girl. And what was I going to say? Passing my driving test first time. You know how elated you feel that you haven't got to do this all over again, and you pass first time, and you do that run down the road. That euphoria, I will never. I think I went up to complete strangers like New Year's Eve and, you know, help them. And I said, I passed my driving test, you know, and get lifted up. I don't know how they did that bit, but they lifted up, spun me around. I was smaller then, but you know, I was grateful. And the third thing is, of course, Top of the Pops.
That moment.
Do you remember that? It was pre-recorded on a Wednesday.
Yep.
Went out sort of pre-recorded live-ish on a Thursday. And it was just an amazing time, because once I watched Martin Fry from ABC in an interview, and he said that when you're young and you're in a band, you have to keep saying, I'm in a band and I'm going to make it, and he said once you make it, you never have to, you know, what a lot of West Indians would call beat your chest again and say, I'm doing this and you never have to point to yourself, and you never have to make any excuses. You never have to explain yourself again. People immediately get it.
Yep.
And, you know, in between the session work coming in when I was in my early 20s and doing the band thing, you know, I had to hold down some kind of a job. So part-time, if you get a good part-time job, it pays you almost as good as a poorly paid full-time job. So I was doing all these really good catering jobs or cleaning, toilets, offices, you name it, as long as it was part-time. And I joined a couple of agencies back then, you still had these people like Alfred Marks and Blue Arrow. I'd join them, lie to them, said I was a chef, whatever. You know, once I picked up the knife, they went, looked at me, you ain't a chef. They knew that I wasn't. I just, you know, there's a difference between earning £1 an hour and earning £7 an hour. I thought I want the £7.
If you can.
I'm not qualified to chef at all. Actually going to these agencies and openly lying, you know. And I used to work for the bakery called Bloomfields, which is Greg's brought them out, and all sorts. I've just done so many amazing things. And once how I met the Tsar Ink was interesting, because I was doing all this, you know, went on to be a sandwich girl in Westminster Tower, and people that used to, you know, what I call a trolley dolly with the sandwiches. And we made really bespoke sandwiches back then, which is nothing now, you know, prawn and avocado, you know, chicken and avo, you know, things like chorizo sausage. You know, back then it was, where you going with your 1980s self and your chorizo sausage, you know, you think, yeah, didn't exist. But I worked for a lady called Titch, and it was a good part-time job. Yeah. So
nice.
you know, I got to work at 7 and I was finished by 2, and then you could get home, shower, you know, learn the song that you've got to learn for the session in a day or two's time. But I started going to this place on a Monday night called Singers.
Right.
And it was an open mic night, and it was amazing, because I really presented myself like I was already a name. I was already a name. Hi, my name is Angie Brown. Like, it wasn't, my name is Angie. It was my name is Angie Brown. Like, you should, like, it flows, you know? Yep. And I thought, yeah. And, you know, again, I just said, it was an open mic night. It was, anyone could get up and sing. And I thought, this is another place where I could hone in on my craft. I've got to learn how to do it, and how to do it, and what to do. So I started singing there every Monday. And one night I was doing Respect, and they heard me doing that, tearing up the place, because far too many people did ballads, and I didn't do ballads. So I thought, I'm getting up, doing them, rocking the place, and I'd get a standing ovation for just doing a up-tempo. No, not another person singing, lately I've been staring in the mirror, Stevie Wonder or Luther Vandross, and people were bored. I used to get up and, you know, rock the place. Anyway, when I did Respect one night, there was an agent in, and she got in touch with a few people and finally rang me and said, are you available to do this session with the band called Bizarre Inc? Now, they had already had a hit with Playing with Knives, but I'd never heard of them. So I said, yeah, you know, they're paying me good money. I know we should talk money, but it's over £1,000. And I've never earned that kind of money, not for singing anyway. I went, definitely. And they said, can you sing like Jocelyn Brown? I thought, I'm a damn well try, mate. Because I did get an advert for McDonald's where I had to sing like her. That was I'm going to do it for you. So I had to go. So I'm going to sing Walk That Walk to Old McDonald's now, right? So when they played me, they said, how you got to do it. I know I'm in my 20s, but I'm going to have to sound about 60, and I'm going to have to sound heavier. So I went, so I had to do this McDonald's advert. So I went, so walk that walk to old McDonald's now. Like that. That's what they wanted. And I was like, did you get it? Did you get it? It's a big thing. And because I wasn't used to doing all that chess, even though I've been taught by Nettie, I wasn't, you know, you'd mix it with, you know, you mix it with that Whitney Houston head voice. It's not all big belt. Anyway, you guys know the rest. I went on to meet Bizarre Inc., did it in the studio in a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. I was done. Ad-lib some da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. Ad-lib that, you know, because it was really just a da-da, 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 just like that. And they chopped it all together and made it hooky like that.
Yep.
And when it came out in the clubs, it just was tearing up the clubs. So when it was eventually released properly, it went straight in at number 17. So we got Top of the Pops.
Nice. Yep.
And you know, this is the answer to your question was like, is there anything that you can't, oh, just talking about it, my hairs have gone up. And of
Oh,
course, both my parents are gone now, but they were alive to see that. Now, people that came here in the 50s, in 55, my dad got here, and 54, and then my mum came in 55 a year later. And she flew, she stopped 4 stops, Newfoundland and Ireland and here. And dad came on some ship or boat or Windrush or something.
mm-hmm.
And for them to see their daughter, you know, 40 odd years later on British television was amazing. I mean, I remember my dad, you know, like he's that sort of old man, Guinness drinking, you know, Lady Henry does a guy like when Lady Henry does a character like that when he just look and he named something like Selbert or, you know, Leroy. And they wear pork pie hats and they would listen to the original versions of UB40 songs, you know, and the old ska music and Trojan music. And it was my dad, that's my dad's generation. And he was, you know, they wore the 2-tone suit and they did it that to the ska music. They did the mashed potato, they wore winkle pickers. It was that. Anyway, my dad, when he was watching some of the pops, he was like a bit perplexed because he said, and he had a stutter, which was really, which I actually use to make beatbox with now, actually, the way the timing on the stutter. But he, in that old Jamaican man way, he said, oh, he wanted to say, how come you're here? You know, he went, how come you're in the room and you're on the television at the same time?
Brilliant.
And I said, Dad, it's a pre-recording. I went to Elstree or whatever it was called yesterday and recorded this. And it was such a wonderful moment for people, back to Martin Fry's thing. What people, oh, my hairs are gone up. What people said, people, you know, your dry cleaner, the people that fix your shoe, people, oh, them girls I sang to at school, the people I delivered sandwiches to, offices I cleaned, whatever, other people that I'd worked for in the past, not in the future, in the past, were just elated for me because they know that I'd worked really hard to, you know, it wasn't like I left drama school and boom, it was drama school and 10 years later, you know, especially with this new movement of music that us Brits have adopted from Chicago and spun it on its head and sell it back to the whole world, you know, more than the Americans do. We've embraced it a bit like how the Stones embraced Muddy Waters music and sold it back to the Americans for trillions more, you know, well, not trillions, but, you know, a lot more than he had originally orchestrated. We know that goes on, you know. It was they were just cute, weren't they, the Rolling Stones, and marketable, and, you know, same with the Beatles, you know. I mean, it you know, come on, there was lots of great artists in the 50s before Elvis, and he borrowed their style, and power to him for being the one to take it mainstream. But, you know, people were doing it, and he, you know, it's interesting, a lot of that came out, that he copied some black styles, that he saw. I like that honesty coming out, because that's how it was. And, you know, it's interesting, that generation that gave us that kind of music. And anyway, you know, before I lose track, but mum and dad were really, really proud. Of course, the phone was going, and my mum loved the phone, and she was like, yes, Dad, yes, Daphne, I know, I see Angie on the telly. Yes, me like what she wearing. she have on the high heel boots and whatever. And then Gwen would ring Auntie Gwen and Auntie Ruby and Auntie Merle and all these people. Yes, me see. It was a big hole that was filled of pride, you know. People were very prideful that I'd, you know, graced the stage of British television. And of course I went on to do in Dance Crazy and This Morning, Good Morning, blah blah blah, you know, loads of things. So it was just a wonderful, it was elated You know, who gets in the charts? Oh my God, we're in the charts. Number
Yeah.
17, we're doing Top of the Pops. And Annie Lennox is over there, and Boys to Men are over there. And
Yes.
Tasmin Archer, she was at number 1. She's over on another stage. And it's just, it's exciting for me to, you know, I thought it was well deserved, you know, because I work really hard. I work
Totally.
relentlessly. Yeah. So, you know.
Highlight. I mean,
Yeah.
testament to you for that. And I mean, I think BBC4 are replaying a lot of the Top of the Pops nowadays. Every Friday night, that's our ritual. And to see that again, 20 odd years, 30 odd years ago now, you're thinking, still a tune, can't help fault it. It's one of the best that still hangs around. And, you know, Heart FM will churn it out every weekend, so we can't fault it really, can we?
Yeah, it's not dated, has it, really?
No, it's wonderful.
Yeah, but don't let me learn, you know, forget to tell you there's a new one coming out next year.
I was going to ask, what's coming up? Because obviously you've been a busy lady over the last year or so when you're getting back out there from the pandemic. What's happening next?
Well, it's funny. That's earlier when I said to you, we were running a bit late, listeners,
Yeah,
for our little talk on the radio here. Thank you, Finesse, for having me, you know, House Finesse. But I'm busy trying to develop some merch, but I'm not doing the lipstick thing because, you know, I'm getting the website all updated. I'm upping my brand. I met a marvelous man in COVID. You know, I must tell you a little bit of that. Anyway, so you know how it is. You've got the dressing gown on all day because there's no school run because I've got 2 boys now. There's no work, which I couldn't deal with. I couldn't deal that there was no pubs open, at least, where I could go and sing how long, you know, has this been, you know, just do, I don't know, My Boy Lollipop, My Baby Don't, you know, and then who knows it, my baby just, whatever, I will sing whatever. And in the war, the pubs have been open, the clubs where people have gone dancing with the fake tights on, and cinemas were open. What do you mean? Everything is shut up. I thought it was going off my head. So just trying to, especially the first 6 months. And I would like gain nearly 2 stone, which I've taken off, thank God. And I just became addicted to Monster Munch, yeah. And I was like, I was eating them like a monster. Anyway, I learned to DJ in COVID, and that was amazing because I was going to a class before COVID kicked in, and I had the decks at home, and I started going live, and I was just having such a good time. And I had to become the author of some of the groups to play privately. And I tapped on my phone, and there was all these people that had messaged me because I was on The Voice. Now, I was on The Voice in 2014. Yep. And again, I did a great live rendition of I'm Gonna Get You in 90 seconds. We couldn't do the da-da-da-da-da, which helps me get my note for the wah. But anyway, I just did it anyway. I look a bit rabbit in the headlights, and 1, 2, 3, wah, straight in. And I did that note, and I got a standing ovation straight away. And it was heartbreaking when they didn't turn around, and they, you know, I worked it out very quickly that they had me on the show for ratings. There was no way they was going to put a pro through. They need someone younger that they can mold into what they want. So anyway, I basically, I used The Voice to get me lots of work because people, I couldn't go anywhere with that. Sometimes people were so angry, they were shouting at me about it, and like, why didn't you get through? You were amazing. I was screaming at the telly, and I was like, babe, if I could get £1 for everyone. I walked into restaurants and people stood up, and I was like, what is going on here? You know, people were affronted that I didn't get through. Anyway, go back to when I was DJing through COVID, I had about 3,000 people watching me, and people made me the author of their group. And I tapped on the angry people were there, about 50 of them, from 7 years ago, because this is now 2021.
Yeah.
I was like, 7 years ago, 2014. Oh my God, these people messaged me. And they'd gone through to another Facebook page, which is the proper professional one, but I'm always on the family one, chatting away, really personable on that one, and the other one gets neglected. So I went through the messages and I thought, Yeah, I'll have another packet of Monster Munch and then I'll message these people back. And I must have done three-quarters of them and I got tired. But because some things I do it, it's rude not to. And I messaged them back. And Mike, my husband now, we basically, he was on there. And I messaged him and he messaged me back and there was lots of banter between us. And I just couldn't believe that this man had taken his time out to message me, and he couldn't believe that I'd taken the time out to message him back. Anyway, forward to last year, we met once the country opened. We had 2 months to talk before the March, and then we met in the March. Then we married this March, gone. So, COVID was amazing for me because I led to DJ. My hair grew. Okay, I've got my ponytail on today, but it's on my shoulders. My own hair is on, not as long as this, but it's about here, and I love it. When I've got a nice keratin. It's just beautiful. My hair grew because I had it braided in COVID, and amazing. Anyway, I went on to meet Mike, and Mike and I got married in March, and Mike, he's been online to see about my profile from different platforms because I never go onto TikTok. And funnily enough, I forgot to say, when I was doing the rock stuff, I joined a band that was called the Thrashing Doves.
Right.
And Thrashing Doves did get a really big record deal, but they were set to do amazing things. But Margaret Thatcher was on this TV show called Swap Shop or whatever, Saturday Superstar, whatever it was. And she was on the hit or miss. And she said, this, out of all the bands, out of the 3 or 4 bands that they showcased, she said, this band is amazing. This is the best thing, because they were cute Caucasian or cute little white boys, skinny, jangly guitars, but they had cute haircuts and they weren't shaved and looking like something out of Mad Max. They didn't. They looked really, so she went for them. And the next day, literally, their career plummeted. So maybe 2 or 3 years after that, I started working with them in the studio. And I eventually became their lead singer, and we changed it from the Thrashing Doves to the Doves. And then the Doves went on to be Ramona 55. But basically, it was me doing this pop, jangly, mixture of that kind of reggae singing that I liked, as well as the big rock singing. And basically, we did this brilliant album, which was mixed at Paisley Park, which is Prince's place in Philadelphia. We did the video in LA. We did the album in New York. It was just looking really good. But the record company couldn't get past the fact that, because it's America and they compartmentalize you. If you're a black artist, you should be doing black music. They couldn't get their head around the fact that it was a little bit country and a little bit rock and a little bit pop for them. And they had a real hard time. Anyway, so I got dropped. And what I was trying to say was, one track was released called Beaten Up in Love Again. And Beaten Up in Love Again, basically, it's a big power ballad. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but we did it in Abbey Road with the Philharmonic, the National Philharmonic Orchestra. And it was played on Radio 1 for a week. But we're talking about 88, 89. But on TikTok, it's been shared 400,000 times.
Wow.
Now, this is something that I did when I was in my, 27, 28. I'm days. 59 now. So anyway, so what I was trying to say is, like, I think that, you asked me, what have I got on the horizon? I think that I must have sang on Si 3,000 or 4,000 tracks, because obviously I'm going to get UK out. And I never had that kind of success again. But I worked with Soul Avengers. I backed up, Heaven 17. I was in Heaven 17 for 9 years. I worked with Lisa Stansfield. I went on to do, Stereophonics, Fatboy Slim. I just worked with people, whether they knew me, French, Greek. I've sung in all kinds of languages. And the man next door who's got a studio, you pay me, $750, I'm there, whatever. A record company, I did Mark Morrison's Crazy and his Return of the Mac. I just worked because I love singing, and I was trying to get that hit again because Bazaring wasn't my band. I was a featured artist, and I thought I need to do it for me. Mm-hmm. So if we fast forward from all that time, 30 years later, I thought it was time that we released it. I've got a publishing deal. Mm-hmm. And if you know about publishing, the publisher looks after your songs. Mm-hmm. But also the publishers these days are also taking the place of what a label used to do, because the labels have been disarmed because of the internet. Before, they would say what gets released, and David Bowie, now we'll have Mark, and then we'll have Queen, no, we'll have Elton. No, all Ed Sheeran's tracks are up because they don't control it anymore. So to fast forward for 30 years, 300 years, 30 years later, it's interesting that the internet is so liberating, because you can find Beaten Up in Love Again. You can find where, if there's royalties out there for you, where airplay with your name attached to it, and also neighboring rights. So sometimes I'm not actually singing, sometimes I'm ad-libbing or oohing on a track, you know. Maybe tomorrow with the Stereophonics, I'm doing a ooh, 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 and he's going, maybe tomorrow, yeah, you know, whatever. I'm just, you know, I'm doing that thing on Mark Morrison's blah, 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 you know. I'm doing, oh, Mark, you lied about your big Billy. I'm going to say, no, your big break. And it's amazing to be able to, you know, do all this new stuff which is coming out, because I've got a deal with Armada, which is the best dance label an artist like me could be on. Yep. The new one is coming out. My husband, Mikey, he knows a lot about marketing, so hence the nails. Nice. We didn't want to go with lipstick side, because you have to think you have to get it from China. This is handmade locally in London, so we can get the lady to pour it in, and people can order it, and it will be in a gift set, like a CD case, but you know, obviously better, with all the tissue paper and all the lovely, and it'll be 2 colors, pink and black. I'm working with producers like Who, which is HWO, you know him. Yep. He's one of them. He did rum pam pam, you left me down, you set me down, 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 rum pam pam, and he did stop with me, all the ladies of the hat, wicked. So he's brilliant. I'm looking into working with Sonny Fodera and Diplo. I'm praying that they remix I'm Going to Get You. Nice. You do need a big name on board, I think, to make it really work out. And the 2023 version as well, it's got my son Cuba doing the yo DJ pump this party. So the party, yo DJ pump this party. He's going, yo DJ pump this party. You know, the boys of brilliant. My 2 boys have come along to some of the festivals in the summer, and they, you know, when they get on, it's like what I call little Michael Jackson syndrome. Then all them cute girls in the front just scream, and one of them was doing the splits, so he just does all the slut drops and everything, and the other one was going, yo DJ, yo DJ, yo DJ, and I'm like, but why, like, so we're all doing this madness on stage, and these people like this. So it's gonna be an amazing ride for Cuba, really, because Armada, can I just say this? They're really happy to have me on board, and I'm happy to. I can't tell you how happy I feel to be in the pocket now. It isn't like what happened to me in the 80s, where they'll think, well, we don't know what to do with you. They know exactly what to do with me, and I sent them some footage of my Facebook, you know, people messaging, go Angie, whatever, on Facebook, and all the messages, all these hearts going up at the side, and people laughing, because I'm like, I've got 2 tracks in, I've got 2 running side by side. It was such a big deal for me. And they said, this is my bad Dutch accent, but they were saying, Andrew, we love the way you DJ. You are doing this you're making this so much fun. It's what you bring to the table. I was like, yeah, they get me. They get me. So I want to sort of relaunch myself, just between us, as a superstar female DJ.
Fair play.
Why not? There's
Why not?
no female David Guetta, is there?
Mm-mm.
I mean, I know Celine sings and she's good. She sings and then she DJs. She's cool. But this time, I think if I know my mix is backwards and I'm playing all Angie Brown, well, I can sing over Angie Brown, no problem.
Absolutely.
Right? Because when you watch those superstar DJs videos, they're promoting their whole set of what they sound and what they've released.
Yep.
You know, and I think I'll be able to do it. So, you know, I want to put loads of tracks that I told you I've sung on over the last 30 years. I think that a lot of them already, those producers are coming to me saying, Ange, we worked a track together 15 years ago. So we're going to try and compile as much as we can to put a couple of tracks out, a couple of albums out, actually, out of all the people that are going to come through. I mean, and there's thousands of them. Because I've got some music in vaults where people said, oh, I did a track with Angie 22 years ago, whatever. Those people are going to come to the forefront because if you're hot, it's a natural process. Totally. It has to happen. And for me, it's like putting your hand on the hole in the pipe for the last 30 years. And then one day that just blows up and the whole place gets flooded. That's what it feels like to me. Don't get me wrong. I think that I'm a good singer, but I don't think that I'm the best singer. But I do think that I'm very personable. I think I'm quite funny and upbeat and chirpy. I know that I'm a very positive person. And most people that I know who've been following my career, my sister, my brother, cousins, you know, people who go back from, you know, drama school friends, they think, and even my new husband, he's like, what happened with Ramona 55, who were the Doves, who were the fashion Doves? Yeah. It's like someone seriously up in the office there. And I tried to explain to him that, you know, the States is a different place. It's different now because Skunk and Nancy's come and, you know, smack people in the face. America had a problem with one black spice in Spice Girls. Come on. And she just said, no, mate, this is how we do it in the UK. And they got their heads around it. You have to, that is racism, and compartmentalize it. You can't do that with music. You really shouldn't. If I want to sing, you know, I want to do a house version of In Your Head, Zombie. I want in your head. I love it. Why can't I have that? Why can't I have that Irish rock? Why can't I? I want it mixing with some house. Why can't I just sing what I want to sing? You know, I mean, since my deal got, you know, I got booted off the label with the boys, you know, Living Colour, there's more, I can't remember what the band, they call Alabama something, and it's this beautiful black girl, and she's got 3 hillbilly type guys with the long beard. I guess I Shazam them because you hear the music sometimes on American TV, and I thought, look at that. I got nowhere with that look 30 years ago with the boys. Look at this. The time is now to re-release this track that people have been talking. When you know, my husband went through the comments and I couldn't believe it. My hairs went up and I thought. And then some people said, yeah, she went on to do house music and she's in Bazaring. What a voice, what a voice. And I think, this is amazing. This is amazing. It isn't about having the best voice, but it is that whole thing about drawing people in.
Yep.
And I do that with my audience. You're not separate. It's not me and you. No. We're all having sex tonight, all of us together. Because it's the more happy you are, the more happy I am. And you know how it is. You don't want to sleep with the ironing board. You know, you don't want to be slow. You want someone who's going, oh, this is lovely. Thank you, Si. You know, someone who's cute and responsive. And that's what music's about. That's what I love about it. So, yeah, the new I'm going to get is going to come out. I've got a new website and I'm going to have merch. as I said, no lipstick because that's hard and you don't know
Yep.
what's in it. But this is toxin free, and it's made here in London, hand poured, hand stirred. So you know, it's my color, and nobody else has got this. It's gonna be, you know, this is gonna have crystals in, and this side's gonna have some gold stars in. So, and then there's obviously I do Let's Rock, which is Let's Rock is an 80s. They feature 80s people like Wet, 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 not UB40, Level 42, Billy Ocean, Heaven 17. And obviously, because the 80s stars, Toya Wilcox is also on it, I've seen her, are getting older. They need to, if they don't want to diminish the brand, they need to bring in some 90s people and hopefully make that transition between 80s and 90s and keep the brand going. And so I've been on it, and Urban Cookie Collective and a few of us. So we've got those that to look forward to, because that was amazing. Because I took someone's place who had COVID. I think it was Sydney Youngblood. If only I could make this world a better. I think that's him, something like that. Anyway,
I remember that one.
Yeah, he had COVID and he couldn't do it, and I got on there with and I remember reading the comments, people saying, "Who is she? Never heard of her." And someone said, "Why don't you Google her, mate?" And somebody else said, "Oh, you know, I've seen her live before. She's great." And then the comments after I did, I was like, "Whoa, she was on fire," because it's with a live band called the Retrobates, so we have fun. And I'm there doing my beatboxing, because I learned that from the Rat Pack. The Rat Pack are the two GUK stroke house guys, and Everson and Mark. And Mark used to do the helicopters and but anyway, but he said, "Yeah, but Ange, if you're on mic, you go, you breathe in and you do, yeah." And I thought, I could do that one. I learned that. So I like, why would the waste? Why would the waste? Why waste your time? I learned to do that to make it interesting, you know.
That's brilliant.
Because I'm gonna get you with being a big hit. I'm doing these gigs on a Saturday, but I need to keep it fresh, and people need to, who's hired me this year needs to get on the phone tomorrow and say, we want her back next year, because I had all those years out in the wilderness. And but I just think it's all going to blow up for me, actually, with this new I'm Gonna Get You coming out, and with my husband managing me. And also I've got an agency full of 90s artists, who's on it: CC Peniston, Ultra Nate, Barbara Tucker, myself, Rosala. They're all on it because it's non-exclusive, but we get them because I'm one of the artists, and we're going to look after the artists, and we get them reminisce festivals, Let's Rock. So things are good, Si. Things are really good. I can't complain. So
lots going on though. Sounds like you're having a great time right now, and there's lots to come, as we can tell.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be Angie Brown's year next year, I reckon. We're going to see a lot more of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It's been amazing today. I hope I do chat a lot. I know I do.
But it's all interesting stuff. You don't need me in this. I could have just given you some questions, but it's all good.
Well, because in my head it all ties up to one big moment. Amazing times, really. So, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you.
Amazing to meet you, Si.
And you. And I believe you're going to have a nice little mix for us now. So, do you want to introduce that for everyone?
Yeah. What mix is it? I'm Gonna Get You, the new I'm Gonna Get You.
We're going to get it all out there, aren't we? Yep.
Yeah, please. I'll make sure that you definitely get it and you play it. It'll be amazing. So
fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd love that. And I appreciate any support on the radio, any whatsoever.
It's all going out. Wonderful.
I'm gonna be putting something up on SoundCloud every week of my little mixes here. So it's all about self-promoting, which the internet allows you to do. So
indeed. Thank you, Angie. Absolute pleasure to talk to you. What a woman. Such a pleasure to hear Angie's stories from her career, and so exciting to see how her career continues with this 90s revival and renewed energy following the pandemic. Make sure you check out Angie's website for all the details, and obviously keep an ear out for the brand new remix of Bizarre Inc.'s I'm Gonna Get You out on Armada Records very soon. That's enough from me. Let's get back into the mix on the House Finesse podcast.
I'm gonna get you, baby. I'm gonna get you, yes I am. I'm gonna get you, baby. I'm gonna get you, yes I am.
Joe DJ, pump this party.